I'll just move somewhere else. Okay, yes, Tara, thank you, Habdi. So Rhonda, hello Rhonda, you ask, is it correct to say that awareness is not localized? Being, perceiving, knowing is not localized. If it is, can we say that awareness is nowhere and everywhere? In other words, if awareness is not localized, can we say that it is nowhere and everywhere? So, Rhonda, before we go into this question, it's important to just speak a little bit about awareness, because your question is about awareness. We could say that localization refers to a form, any form that you experience, whether it's a thought, or whether it's a perception or a sensation. You could say that it is localized within perception. So a tree is localized in the yard, and the yard with the tree is localized in your perception. You could say the same thing about a thought. A thought, you could say, is localized in the mind, meaning by the mind we refer to the body of thoughts. And the thought and the mind are localized in your perception. Similarly with bodily sensations. If you turn your attention to the sensation of your feet on the floor, that sensation is, you could say, is localized in the body, and the body as well as the sensation are localized within perception or within awareness. So use perception as awareness. So the point that I want to make is that awareness is not an object, is not a form, is not something that you perceive, such as a thought, a body, or a mind. It is the formless, it is a formless reality of all forms. In other words, all forms are experienced, are known via formless awareness. So it is correct to say that awareness is not localized. Now, there are other people who who use the term awareness differently from the way I use the term awareness. Some people refer to awareness of an object, a specific, they refer to awareness as sort of limited or defined by the form, by what is perceived. I use awareness as the reality that defines all forms, but that remains undefined, that is not defined by the forms that it creates and perceives. So coming back to your question, yes, it is correct to say that awareness is not localized. And if it is not localized, can we say that awareness is nowhere and everywhere? Yes, you could say that. You could say that awareness is nowhere and everywhere. Yeah, you could say that. Did you have something in mind in that, with that question? Because otherwise, yes, it is correct to say that it is nowhere and everywhere. Because awareness is the reality, the one reality. I use the term awareness, consciousness similarly, synonymously. And the reality is only one. There's only one reality. And reality does not appear in time and space. Time and space appear within it. Randa, you write, this is what my contemplation led me to. Yeah, that's a correct contemplation. It is leading you in the right direction. And when we speak about awareness, Randa, we're speaking about our primary experience, which is really an important understanding, because in confusion, in ignorance, we believe that our primary experience is objects, is the world, the body, or the mind. But in understanding, we realize that our primary experience is awareness. And actually, our only experience is awareness. So yes, your contemplation is on the right track. So Rhonda, you ask, so what is the next step? Well, to recognize that when you are talking about awareness, you are talking about the reality of your experience, but what is real. And that it also can be referred to as the I am. It's important to bring it home. I am is a direct knowingness, that I know I am. I, meaning amness. Know my amness. I know that I am amness. I know that I am that. And further along, it is important to contemplate that awareness/consciousness is not dependent on the world, body, mind. It is not dependent on thought. It is not dependent on the world. It is not dependent on the body. It does not die. It is unborn. It is not a phenomenal in the phenomenal realm and does not depend on anything phenomenal. A good metaphor is that of the night dream. The dreamer does not depend on its dreams, does not depend on the mind events that arise in the night dream. The self, meaning consciousness, is its own wholeness. It is whole and fulfilled within itself. It does not need the world, body, mind. The dreamer does not need its dreams. And in fact, in deep sleep, you don't dream, more or less. And yet you are. So it's important to understand that consciousness, awareness is not dependent on the world, body, mind. And finally, to contemplate and understand that, therefore, awareness, consciousness is not personal, given that it does not depend on a body, mind, and being not personal, you open yourself up to the possibility that it is universal. Meaning there's one knowingness, one consciousness, one reality that perceives all perceptions, that creates all perceptions, that conceives all perceptions, creates them, witnesses them, experiences them, and discards them. So that is the important path to come to the understanding that first I am a body-mind experiencing an external world, then I am awareness, consciousness, and this awareness is non-localized, and that this awareness is I am, and finally that this awareness, consciousness is universal and not personal. Okay, Rhonda. Hello, Eric. Richard. So, Richard, you write, is anything personal? For example, ignorance. It seems too mechanical to be personal. Richard, there is nothing personal. Simply because when you look for the person and you look thoroughly, you will find awareness, consciousness. And when you investigate properly, correctly, awareness and consciousness, what is revealed to you is its universality and not any limited consciousness or any personal awareness. So the answer to your question is no, nothing is personal. Now, ignorance is imagining yourself, believing yourself taking yourself to be a particular set of experiences, a particular set of bodily sensations and thoughts. It's a reduction of your wholeness to a particular set of thoughts, a particular set of experiences. And you do that by believing that you, meaning consciousness, is born, meaning that you, consciousness, is a body dependent on the body-mind, and that you arise as a result of the body-mind, as a result of the sperm and the ovulation, that you arise as a result of this phenomenal experience, and that you will die, and hopefully maybe you get reborn in another better realm. So ignorance is like a believing yourself to be a dream character without contemplating, without investigating, without a deep inquiry into that belief. It's like we're all of us, all human, all whatever, 7 billion human beings. When we, at some point in our experience, we bump our head into the wall, and we get this download because we have a trauma that we are this body-mind. It's a virus. But that is not personal, because the thoughts that arise to you, that you are Richard, that you are born, that you exist in time and space, you don't think those thoughts. You perceive those thoughts, but you don't think them, you don't create them as Richard. They're downloaded to you from universal consciousness. And you, meaning you, consciousness, choose to say, yes, I agree, I am this mortal body-mind. And you sign the contract, and then you suffer, and you seek a wholeness for the rest of your life. So yes, ignorance is not personal, and nothing actually is, because in fact there is no person. There is just consciousness, just awareness. And as I said previously, awareness, consciousness is not dependent on any form, on any phenomenal event. The formless is not dependent on the form. The dreamer is not dependent on its dreams. It is the other way around. God is not dependent on its creation. It is the other way around. So the impression of the personal impression is a result of mistaking yourself to be a pauper while you are the king, mistaking yourself to be a dream character while you are the dreamer. And yes, it is quite mechanical, I agree. You're welcome, Richard. Hello, Rhonda. You write, upon waking up from night dream into the waking dream, is it right to say that no one wakes up, just a change in what is appearing in awareness? Yes, that's a very, very good question, Rhonda. Absolutely. Waking up, there is a thought that says, okay, I woke up. As if there is like a sudden sort of line, demarcation line between waking up and sleeping. One could say that the body wakes up, but we have to be clear about what we mean by that. So in sleep, the body is breathing, it's moving, but it's not moving too much. It's moving much, much, much less than during the waking state. It is breathing at a different rhythm. Maybe the exhalation and the inhalation are slower, longer. There's more space between every inhalation and exhalation, but it's still breathing. And there are thoughts that are arising, but they're arising at, there is more distance, let's say, between the thoughts, and the thoughts are less dense than during the waking state. So the waking state and what we refer to waking state and the sleep state are both states that that only differ in their appearance, but not in their substance. It's like there is a painting that is like a pastel painting and a painting that is an oil painting. Both of these paintings, they are paintings. They differ in their appearance, but not in their substance. The substance of the waking state and the sleep state is consciousness. So the substance of a pastel painting or of an oil painting is the screen upon which the painting is. It's just a metaphor. It's a little bit simplistic, but it's okay as a metaphor. It makes the point. So yes, there is no one that wakes up, meaning consciousness does not wake up. We could agree that when the body that's out of bed and showers and goes down to make some cereal for breakfast, we could agree as a convention that, okay, being horizontal in bed is called sleeping, and being vertical is called waking up. That's just a conventional lingo, but it refers to the body. It does not refer to you, because you are not the body. The body appears to you. You experience the body. You experience the mind. You experience perception. You experience thought. But you are not what you experience. What you experience depends on you. It does not define you. You define what you experience, but you are not defined but by what you experience. So yes, you could say that no one wakes up in referring to consciousness, just a change in what is appearing in awareness. Yes, Rhonda, yes, you are on the right track in your contemplation about the waking state and the dream state. It is the main point here is that what occurs at the body level stays at the body level. It does not occur at consciousness level. It only occurs at the body level. So the body wakes up, the body sleeps, the body eats, etc. The body goes for a walk. It's all is well with that. We have no issue with that. But what you are is not divided, is indivisible. It's undefinable via the mind. It's only defined via itself. So consciousness is only known directly via itself.
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Holly. Hello, Holly.
Hi.
Yes. Hey. Hello.
So I have a question that
Yes.
feels a little bit rambly, so maybe I can just go for a little bit and you can pick up
Okay.
what needs addressing. So maybe it's the type of mind I have. I have a background in astronomy, so I spend a lot of time, or have, imagining what the universe is,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on out there, imagining galaxies. And I know if I go and I look through a telescope, I'll be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody is seeing it. I don't know if it's being perceived by a human or by an alien or by anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't. What did I do? I don't really understand if it's still there, if it's not being perceived. And kind of coupled with this is am I on? I'm wondering about the vastness
Mm-hmm.
of what I think exists, and trying to think about how an effortless freedom like has the energy to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a lot. So I don't know, I guess and I've had this question for a while, but I can't really pin it down, but it has to do with, is there stuff out there, and why does it seem like there's so much stuff out there? And
yes. Well, Holly, if you examine just the mystery of the breath, or just the mystery of the blood flow, the heart pumping. I know you're talking, about the galaxies and infinite space, but it's just amazing how magical it is, just for the sun to shine onto the ocean and warm it in such a way that certain life forms can reproduce at certain temperatures. That in itself is quite amazing. When you start contemplating creation, wherever you look, you will find infinite wonder and infinite vastness and infinite awe, sense of awe. Now, the point that's important to understand, Holly, is that when we speak of the vastness or the infinite beingness, or about the borderless presence, we are referring to consciousness, and not to the vastness of the universe or the infinite universes. In fact, our mind experience is limited. The mind is limited. Our perception, the tools, the body-mind tools are limited. They are what they are, and this is why we use all sorts of scientific aids. We use infrared, we use X-rays, we use all sorts of other tools that we've devised to be able to expand our human experience from the limitation of the senses. We, via certain scientific aids, we're able to perceive more, and of course, the more every every few years, the technology keeps advancing, and we keep perceiving and discovering more and more out of the universe, and there is no limit to how wider, how much broader the universe is beyond our mind experience. So our mind is limited, and so, but we know from experience that there is beyond the mind. So beyond the mind, there are other minds. There are also beyond our universe, there are other universes. We're open to that. The fact is, we know for a fact that besides my mind, there is your mind, and there are other people's minds. And there is the mind of the rabbit, and the mind of the squirrel, etc. And similarly, given that we keep discovering more and more galaxies and more events in the cosmic realm. So why not be open to the possibility there are infinite universes and infinite minds? But there is only one reality, because although there may be infinite expressions of this one reality, although there may be infinite creations, infinite universes that we don't know as a mind, that the mind does not know, there is only one reality. Whatever is known via reality, because if you know anything via non-reality, what sort of knowingness is that? What kind of knowledge is that? So knowing refers to reality. And if you go to your experience, wherever you go, really, you will only find knowing. You will only find thoughts, perceptions, sensations. Even when you're thinking or you're wondering about infinite universes and how vast the universe is, you're still knowing your own thoughts. You're still you're contemplating your own thoughts about infinite universes. So all our experiences always, it can be simplified to thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. And these thoughts, perceptions, and sensations refer to consciousness. And this is where we come to the vastness. We don't talk about in the teaching. We're not referring to the vastness of the universes. We're referring to the vastness of consciousness. So in your night dream, you perceive certain images, certain events that arise to you in your dream. But there are infinite more dreams and journeys and appearances that can appear to you, that may appear to you. And in fact, you keep being surprised by what your night dreams reveal. But what is the issue with that? The fact that there is a potential of infinite dreams or of infinite creation only speaks to the infinite potential of consciousness, the infinite possibility of consciousness, God's infinite creativity. So experience of consciousness is the experience of infinite beingness, is the experience of the vastness of being, the borderless presence. And that is the vastness. That is the wonder. The wonder is not so much what is created, but the fact of creation is what the wonder is. You could look at a butterfly and be in utter wonder about the creative potential of consciousness and about consciousness itself, the fact of experiencing, and not so much what is experienced. Is there more, Holly, you want to say some more? I want to make sure that I am speaking to your question.
I think you are. You know, I just, on the mind level, I think I just get caught up in the, is there something out there?
Well, if there is something out there, Holly,
yeah,
what would know it? Let's say that there is something out there. The significance, because let's look at it this way. Let's start with consciousness, because this is something that we all know, we all experience right now, that right now there is consciousness. Because if there wasn't consciousness, what would be this very conversation? Right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with that. There is a reality right now, which is the reality of consciousness or awareness, whatever you want to call it, presence. There is the reality of consciousness. So that's the reality that there is no question about it. Now, what we perceive might be a dream, but there is a reality that perceives even the dream. So let's start with that there is the reality of consciousness. Now, the question is there a world out there? And let's say that there is a world out there. And so for there to be a world out there, or infinite worlds out there, these worlds or that world will have to be real, because if it's not real, then what are we talking about? Yes, so let's say there is a real world out there. You agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that world out there has a reality. It is real, meaning it has its own reality. Yes? So given that there is one reality, and given that we've established that consciousness is real, then we would be open to the understanding that the reality of that world out there is this one reality, the reality of consciousness. You follow the reasoning?
Yeah.
So, yes, there are infinite worlds out there, but the reality of these worlds is consciousness, because there is one reality. Now, just backtrack a little bit. I speak with confidence that there is one reality for two reasons. Because if there are more than two realities, if there is more than one reality, if there are two realities, then there will be reality A and reality B. And at some point, reality A will meet reality B and will cease to be real. Now it's reality B that is real. So two realities mean that one reality at some point stops being real and another reality becomes real. that's the meaning of two realities, because there has to be a point, a meeting point where, okay, on this side of the fence is reality A, and on the other side of the fence is reality B. Meaning, on the side of reality B, reality A is not real, and on the side of reality of the fence of reality A, reality B is not real. So what sort of reality would that be that is real up to a point, and then it's not real? It's a good question. So that's that sort of reasoning pokes a hole at the dual reality hypothesis. Also, another way of reasoning about these two realities is that if there are two realities, the reality of the world out there and reality
okay, sorry, actually you just got to that, but to clarify, the two realities are the reality, we're saying the reality of consciousness versus the reality of like the physical external world in this analogy.
Yes, exactly. What I'm coming to, Holly, is that without denying the reality of the world, so yes, the world is real, but the reality of the world and the reality of consciousness are one reality. So the reality of the world is not a separate reality from the reality of consciousness. That's one point that I'm making, because there is one reality. But so now that we sort of got to that, I was going to go a little bit slower with it. But since you're right there with me, let me just go make another small pointer, Holly, which is that let's agree that the reality of the world and the reality of consciousness are one reality, because it's just one reality, and we're not denying the reality of the world. But what we know about the world, Holly, is our experience. We know that the world, for example, this perception is changing, is constantly changing, right? Or the day, so now it's daylight in 4 or 5 hours, whatever. There'll be night, and it'll be darker, and we'll have to turn the lights on, etc. So we know that the reality of the world is, or the world, I'm not going to say the reality of the world, is constantly changing. Thoughts are constantly changing. Bodily sensations are constantly changing, because in a way, that's what we refer to when we say the world. We're referring to not just the perceptions, we're also referring to, well, I am at least referring to also sensations and thoughts. They are changing. But awareness doesn't change. In other words, you don't have a dark awareness at night and a lighter awareness during the day. You don't have a hungry awareness at lunchtime and a non-hungry awareness after dinner, after lunch. That's true of the body, but that's not true of awareness. So, which makes us stop and wonder, say, oh, okay, it's one reality, but there is a certain, let's say, subordination. The world, body, mind is subordinate to consciousness. It is not that it's not real, it is subordinate to consciousness. A good metaphor of that, again, I keep coming back to the night dream, is that your night dreams are constantly changing. They're real in that there is one reality, which is the reality of the dreamer, using that metaphor. But your night dream are subordinate to you, the dreamer. And that's an important point to understand. So this is why I often speak of consciousness dreams all dreams without ever diminishing or augmenting itself, because it is the changeless. Now, another point that's also important to contemplate, Holly, is that the world, body, mind is intermittent. Meaning, the world is made out of perceptions, thoughts, and sensations. Even the world's out there, they're made out of experiences. The reality is that one reality of consciousness, but thoughts, sensations, and perceptions are constantly changing. So there is a gap between thought A and thought B. And the gap between thought A and thought B, consciousness is still there. It's not like consciousness dissolves. There is consciousness during thought A, between thought A and thought B, and during thought B. So before thought A, during thought A, and after thought A, consciousness is. So which brings us to the understanding that consciousness stands on its own 2 feet, so to speak. While the thought A, thought B, thought C, they stand on the feet of consciousness. Because without consciousness, what would the thought be? So it's a further, contemplation of the nature of consciousness. That consciousness knows the thoughts, thought A. It also knows thought B. But between thought A and thought B, it remains self-knowing. It remains as itself. It remains as its wholeness, as its beingness. And one more point here, Holly, is that you also know that you are aware, that you are conscious. And you don't know that because you thought about it. Oh, let me think about it. Let me wait for a certain thought to download that says, yes, you are aware. The way we know we are aware is independent of thought. Directly, we know that we are aware. We know that I am, and we know that I am aware. Directly, without thought, without checking with your body, without checking with your neighbor, without checking with the weather, without checking with the political situation in the world. You know that I am, and you know that I am aware. So awareness is self-knowing, independent, meaning in the absence of thoughts, independent, meaning in the absence of the world, in the absence of the mind. So consciousness is the reality of the world, body, mind, and is its own reality.
Thank you.
Okay, Holly, thank you for your question. It's a good question. It's important to come to know consciousness and to understand consciousness and know yourself as consciousness, independent of the infinite worlds that may be. Hello, Renate. Renate, you're right. Is awareness aware of itself in deep sleep? Well, Renate, a good way to answer this question is just to notice that when you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, or you tell your friend or whoever you're talking to that, yeah, I had a good night's sleep last night. What this refers to is the deep sleep, because you're not talking about your dreams, you're not talking about tossing and turning, you're talking about the sleep. Sleep refers to the deep sleep. And then you can ask yourself, Renate, How did I know that I slept? I mean, I know my dreams because I remember my dreams and say, oh yeah, I dreamt I was flying to Turkestan, or I was going to Mongolia, whatever. It's because you remember your dreams, or thoughts that arise to you. But in the deep sleep state, there are no thoughts. But yet you know that you slept. How do you know that you slept? The only way that you know is because you were there. You know for example, your dreams because you were there watching those dreams. You meaning consciousness. You know, for example, that you woke up at night and you were thirsty and you drank some water because you were there, meaning consciousness, and you experienced the thirst of the body. And you experienced the body walking down to the kitchen and getting a glass and filling the glass with water and drinking the water. You were there. You as consciousness were there during the dreams, during the thirst experience, and during the deep sleep state. You know you slept because you were there. You, consciousness, were there. So that is the way you can look at your question yourself and come to the understanding that awareness is there. And since during deep sleep, all there is beingness, awareness, because the world is not there, the body is not there, and the mind, meaning thoughts, are not there. Only awareness is there. So awareness was there, witnessing itself. That is what is referred to as deep sleep. Deep sleep is in fact awareness knowing itself. And since I'm talking about this, or just go a little bit further with your question, for the sage, for the awakened, the awareness knows itself 24/7. You know how at the mind level, the mind is constantly arising and taking you away from awareness knowing itself. Imagine the deep sleep state 24/7. You're in the deep sleep state 24/7, but yet you are also cooking when you are hungry, you are driving to work in the morning, you are inviting friends to dinner, and you are in satsang. But I was just getting off your question. I hope I addressed your question, but feel free to ask some more if I didn't. A good point to contemplate is we know that I am aware. Say, I know that I am aware. What is it that can be aware? Only awareness can be aware. Whatever else that is not awareness cannot be aware. Non-awareness cannot be aware. So only awareness can be aware. Awareness belongs to awareness. It sounds sort of silly, but it's an important point, because we have a confusion. We think that the body mind is aware. Actually, a lot of people think that the mind is aware. But only awareness can aware. Non-awareness cannot aware. Only awareness can aware. And when awareness is awareing a perception or a world or a thought, it is in fact awareing its own awareness of a tree, meaning awareness is experiencing itself as a tree. There isn't an external reality that awareness goes to and says, knock on the door and says, hello, can I experience you? And the tree goes, oh yeah, you're welcome to come experience me. And now that you've experienced me, okay, goodbye, you can go. The experience of the world, body, mind is an experience of awareness experiencing itself as a world, body, mind, as a perception, as a thought, as a sensation. So there is an intimacy in awareing or in awareness, in experiencing. There is an intimacy, the intimacy of experience. And once we, because there is no distance between awareness and what is awared. There is zero distance. What awares and what is awared are at zero distance. Like you, the dreamer, and the dream that's arising are at zero distance of each other. And whenever there is that understanding of the intimacy, which is I refer to as the intimacy of being, here talking about awareness, we could say the intimacy of awareing. When there is that understanding, that living understanding of the intimacy of awareing, there is peace and happiness. Which is Advaita, non-duality. Like being with somebody you love, you forget yourself, you just dissolve in the other, and the other dissolves in you. It's very beautiful, it's very lovely. That's what we refer to as love. Love is the intimacy of relating in complete intimacy, not as two, but as one. Consciousness experiencing itself in a relationship. Experiencing itself, it's not experiencing another. When a relationship reaches this level of this quality, it's love. Love is the wholeness, the oneness in relationship. Anyways, I'm getting off. Well, there was just piggybacking on the question. So any questions, anyone? Okay, Zoe. Yes, hello, Zoe. Yes, very, very lovely. Please say hello to Steve as well. Nice to see you and to know you're there. Okay, well, so as usual, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you for your presence, for your company, and for your love. We'll meet again soon, most likely next Thursday. So namaste to you all. Let me see. So I think you did this here. Okay.